Hi, my name is Allison Groves, and I have the privilege of taking care of our community here at Zapier, and we're really excited today to have a chance to chat with Shankar, who's joining us from Freshdesk. I'm already tongue-tied today. Freshdesk. How are you, Shankar?
I'm good, Allison. How are you?
Good, good. Let's hope that that's the last time I get tongue-tied today. Freshdesk is can sometimes be, you just want to get it off the tongue really quickly. So today we want to take everyone through some really fun ways that you can automate that the Freshdesk data that you have into other apps. As I'm sure most of you are dealing with users, customers, whatever that might be, every single day in your help desk. We do the same at Zapier. We're constantly in our help desk taking care of our users, but there's so much information there that we have on our users, issues we might need to take care of outside of Freshdesk, whatever that might be. So we hope today we can kind of take you through some different use cases around how you can automate some of that data, get it outside of Freshdesk, and hopefully save yourself a lot of time not having to manually move that data around or worry about getting it into other places. So we're going to cover some how to use forms, how to use sort of team collaboration or project management tools, and also how to create contacts with this information, because I know that that's really, really valuable to people. Before we get going here, Shankar, I'd love for those people who are joining us who might not be Freshdesk users, or maybe they're newer Freshdesk users, would love to hear a little bit from you about the core of Freshdesk and what it is that that you guys do.
Yeah, sure. So Fresh is actually a SaaS-based customer support software, and Fresh lets you manage questions coming in from your customers across multiple channels like email, Twitter, Facebook, phone, and chat. For example, let's say you're a business and you have customers emailing you about suggestions about your product and giving you feedback day in and day out. You can have Freshdesk ticket all of these conversations and have your customer support team collaborate on all of these issues from inside Freshdesk. Let's say you have customers tweeting to you or tweeting about you. You can convert these tweets into tickets inside Freshdesk and have your customer support agents respond to them as quick as possible. Besides that, we also let businesses create self-service portals so they can post FAQs and have a forum or a community where they can engage their most favorite or most vocal users. So that is kind of what we do.
That's awesome. That's a really great feature. I know that there's a lot of people out there who need something like that, because taking care of people goes beyond just answering their questions via email. So that's really, really cool to hear. So we'll just kind of hop right in. I'm going to share my screen with everyone so you can kind of follow along. What we're going to do is just take you through a couple of really sort of larger use cases of how you might automate data either into or out of Freshdesk. And then while we're talking through some of those use cases, we'll actually show you how to set up these automations so you can do that for yourself. And hopefully you can see that doing this only takes just a matter of minutes, and then once it's done, you never have to worry about it again. You can just work in Freshdesk and spend all of your time taking care of your customers and never worry about getting that information out to other places you might need to get it to. So I'm just going to share my screen here, and we'll kick into it a little bit. The very first thing I want to talk about, Shankar, is I know that this is something that a lot of people struggle with, including myself. When we're communicating with our users and inside of our help desk, a lot of times there's issues that arise there that we might actually need to move out to a team collaboration tool, a chat room, a project management tool, something along those lines. So I would love to hear from you about ways you've seen either people need to do this or some certain ways that you feel is really helpful to move that data out into something else.
Yeah. So one thing that we see commonly in customer support teams is that they get to listen to a lot of suggestions and feedback from customers. They also get a lot of feature requests from these customers day in and day out. So they usually communicate with the sales with the product managers or the developers about these feature requests and suggestions and ideas. And very often these product managers or developers use something like Trello or another team collaboration tool to keep track of the most frequently asked features, suggestions, and bug reports. So It's a nice way to actually have your help desk team up with your team collaboration tool and push out regularly asked features and also bugs and suggestions about your product to your Trello board or your team collaboration tool, whatever that is. So it really helps product managers keep track of uh, the real customer needs very easily without having to get boggled down by other issues that are being reported about your product.
Yeah, and I know that this is something that anyone who has done any form of support ever, and I imagine that that's most everyone who's with us here today. This is a really big issue in moving this data because your customers have the information that they give you is so incredibly valuable. But if it just lives inside your help desk, it's not very visible to your other team. So like Shankar was saying. Especially for your project managers or anyone, developers, anyone who might be needing to see this information. So the way that we kind of see people using this is just using that as a way to automate this information from Freshdesk. So this great information that these users are giving you, and automatically creating an issue, a to-do, whatever that might be in your sort of team collaboration tool. So I'm going to take you real quick through how we set this up, and hopefully, again, we'll kind of give you some ideas, different ways you can use this, and you can also just see how quickly and easy it is to do. So the way we think about Zapier is a one-to-one connection. So what we're doing here is anytime anyone is creates a new ticket in Freshdesk, or anytime you get a new ticket in, we're actually going to create a card in Trello. And there's a way for you to kind of filter down on this so it's not every single new ticket that you're getting into Freshdesk. But there's ways that you can kind of trigger, as what we call this this section over here. So you can trigger that ticket from Freshdesk to automatically create that card in Trello. Or any other sort of team collaboration tool they might use. We're just using Trello here as an example because it's pretty popular. So that's what's happening here. When this happens, when a new ticket is created in Freshdesk, we are going to do this. We're going to create a card in Trello. And to get going on this, you'll actually need to connect your Freshdesk and your team collaboration tool to Zapier. It's a very simple process. Takes 10 seconds. Once it's done, you never have to worry about it again. And then you kind of can get down into the meat of the automation. So step 4 is, okay, we want to trigger on Freshdesk for any specific reason. This actually will trigger anytime a new ticket is created, but you can actually filter down on that too. So you could look for a specific email address. You could filter on a specific word in the description of that ticket. So maybe you could on a specific priority. So any way that you might want to collect or identify is probably a better word. Any way you would want to identify these issues that are coming into Freshdesk that you want to then get out to your team, to your project managers, to your developers, etc. I highly recommend playing around with the filters a little bit, and then you can make sure that only the right information is going over to Trello. And then in step 5, we kind of get down to the specifics of what we're going to send to Trello. So we're going to match up that Freshdesk information to the Trello card. So it really needs to be, as far as Trello is concerned, we have to specify the board and the list and the name of the card that we're going to create, which is actually really, really helpful. So instead of these cards or issues or whatever sort of tool you're using, instead of those things being created just in this sort of random space, you can pin them down exactly where they need to go. So maybe you've got a bug report board, or maybe you have a board for feature requests or something like that. That's actually what we've done at Zapier for a while. So you could have a board and a list with those specific things. And then from there, all you would need to do is click on Insert Fields here. That is us gathering that information from Freshdesk and making it available to match up to the space in Trello or in Asana or in Redmine or any project management tool that you might use. So here we're saying I've got the priority of the ticket, and the subject of it is going to be the name of the card. And then I can actually use the description coming over from Freshdesk to create the sort of summary or information that goes along with that card. And then once I've done that, Anytime anyone creates a ticket in Freshdesk that either matches these filters that I set up in step 4, or any new ticket that comes in, it's totally up to you. We're going to match that information up that you've selected here over to Trello or whatever your project management app is. And you can see, you can test it out, you can see what's going to go over, you can see what's coming in from Freshdesk. But it's just a really easy way, and at that point it's done. And then anytime anyone submits a ticket that into Freshdesk that matches either your filter or, again, like I said, any ticket coming in, we're automatically going to create that card in Trello so you never have to worry about it. So you can go about doing your business, taking care of your customers, communicating with them, whatever that might be, and never worry about having to set aside time to go out and create these notes in your project management system. That's such a tedious process. Now all you need to do is set up the Zap once. It's automatically going to do it for you. Your developers, your project managers, whatever that might be, they can work independently. You can continue to take care of your customers, and you guys never have to waste time meeting or having to waste your time figuring out what to do, how to move that information, etc. And I know that we focused on Trello here, but Zapier actually has a ton of different project management tools that we work with. I know Freshdesk has a lot too, but these is a great list of everything you can do. So if you don't use Trello, maybe use Asana or Basecamp or Podio, GitHub for developers. Smartsheet, you could put these into a spreadsheet if you wanted to. Redbooth is a great. There's just tons of information. LeanKit, another great project management tool. All kinds of great stuff you can do here with the Zapier integration. So that's a quick primer on project management. Probably outside of project management, I think the highest use of automation, or not even automation, but just collecting information from people to create tickets, is forms. And so I'd love to talk with you a little bit about that, Shankar, and how you guys see people using forms to collect people's information and to communicate with users.
Yeah, so very often businesses usually collect information from so many places for so many different purposes, and generally they have multiple forms spread out across their website. For example, some people may be using a contact form to help customers actually reach them and ask them questions. Some people may be using lead collection forms spread across landing pages. Some businesses may actually be using event registration forms where they get people to sign up for their events, for their webinars, or for any such thing.
Yeah, so
if they have a single place to actually collect all this, they look at them and have the team collaborate on the information that they're getting, or have their team reach out to some of these users for submitting this information. Freshdesk can actually team up with Zapier, connect Zapier, and pull in all this data from these form creation services, or actually push out data from. You can also have Freshdesk push out updates about content, other stuff into these form collection tools.
Yeah, so like you said, forms are such a great way to collect data from in any sort of way that you might need. And the great thing about connecting this to Freshdesk is you never have to really worry about where that information is going, or most importantly, how you're going to communicate with the people who are submitting these forms, whether it's a contact form, signing up for a webinar, all those examples that Shankar gave. So again, we can do this with Zapier, and you would never have to worry about, is that information getting to where it needs to be? Am I communicating with the right people? You're just going to automatically know that because the Zap is and the automation is going to do that for you, so you never have to worry about it. Again, you can spend all of your time taking care of your customers and not have to stress about collecting that information, manually doing anything with it. So this automation looks a little bit different than the last one we just looked at, because the last one we just looked at, Freshdesk was the trigger. But in here, Freshdesk is actually receiving the information, or in Zapier world is the action app. So here we're saying anytime anyone fills out my Wufoo form, and Wufoo is a very popular form software. So if you've got a Wufoo form on your website and you want that to automatically create a ticket in Freshdesk, this is what that would look like. So again, we're saying new form entry, we're going to create a ticket. And much like we saw before, we're just connecting our accounts. Very, very short, simple, easy to do. Once it's done once, you don't have to do it again. And then in step 4, we're actually looking at the Wufoo side of things. So this is really, really simple. We're just saying, this is the form that I want to look at. So anytime anyone has a new entry on this particular form that I select, that's what's going to create the ticket in Freshdesk. So at that point, we can match up the information coming over from Wufoo to create that Freshdesk ticket. So it's not going to create a blank ticket. You're going to know exactly what's going on. So the subject I've actually hand typed in. So you can do this from time to time. You don't necessarily have to use the Insert Fields button because the subject here is probably going to be the same. You might have something coming from Wufoo that you would want to be the subject, but here we just as you can see, we've just typed in new contact form. So now I know, that this is coming over from that new contact form. That's going to be the subject of the ticket. I've collected the email address from Wufoo here. So we're saying, I'm going to insert the email address of that user. It's again going to automatically connect that up to that particular section in Freshdesk. Same thing goes for the description. So anything you have on the form that you're using, you can just connect that right to the description. So then anytime, and that's all you need to do. So anytime anyone fills out this form, it's going to automatically create a ticket in Freshdesk. It has the subject you've decided on. It's got the email address of the person who filled out that form. And it's got the description. So whatever information you're grabbing in your form, you can match up to this section in Freshdesk. So you'll already have the context on what this person needs, and you can automatically just answer them, take care of them. You never have to leave your Freshdesk account. You're just working in there constantly, taking care of the users, and just allowing that information to come to you. And just like our project management tools, we have a ton of different form options you can use. So you don't necessarily have to use Wufoo. You can use anything that you see here, from Gravity Forms to Unbounce to even Google Spreadsheet Forms, which then creates entries in Google Spreadsheets, etc. So lots you can do here. But I highly recommend connecting the two together, so you never have to worry about actually collecting that data. It'll just automatically come to you, and you can spend all of your time truly worrying about taking care of your customers, which is where all of your time should be going anyway. And the last thing I want to talk about here is actually collecting information from Freshdesk and creating contacts in your CRM with it, because we know that you get a lot of people connecting with you through your Freshdesk account, and you might actually want to move them into a different part of your process. Maybe it's someone on your sales team or something like that needs to deal with. So, Shankar, anything that you've seen people doing as far as using information in Freshdesk to create contacts in their CRM?
Yep. So very often sales teams usually work very closely, because at the end of the day they want to make customers happy, and support usually wants to get context about what kind of companies these guys are talking to, the kind of subscription plan they are on, the kind of money they're paying company, the kind of how big their account is, and all that stuff. And very often it's the sales folks who make the initial contact with these customers, and they usually have information about their phone numbers, their contact details, their location, etc., loaded in their CRM. So it's very important that all this information syncs back to their help desk, so the customer support team can actually take a look at it. In addition to that, the sales folks want to be that they're at the end, the moment they actually close it. They have to continuously make sure that their customers are happy, that their accounts are happy. They need to get a peek of tickets that are coming in from this company. So they might want to see the kind of conversations that this particular customer is having with the support team from inside their CRM, without having to log in to a separate help desk system. So this is something we see often happening between sales teams and customer support teams.
Yeah, so like Shankar mentioned there, it's just makes sense to connect these two things together, because everyone kind of works across them, or a lot of teams do, especially if you have a smaller team, and you have, there's so much valuable information you have on your users in your help desk system, just because that's where the majority of the conversations and communication happens with them. But a lot of times you want to get them over into your CRM, so Zapier can help with that as well. And again, this works much like the very first example we looked at. So instead of sending information from the ticket to your project management tool, this is basically just the same concept, but kind of turning on its head a little bit. It's less about the sort of issues or tasks at hand, and more about that person, that user. So we can take their information, their contact information from Freshdesk, and automatically create them in our CRM, so we can kind of get a higher level picture of them as a person outside of our help desk, and then everyone can access that information, whether it's your sales team, your marketing team, whatever that might be. So like I said, it works just like the project management sort of automation does. So anytime anyone creates a new ticket in Freshdesk, we're going to create a contact in it Sightly. And this is another way where we could really use filters. So when we skip down here to step 4, we probably don't want every single new ticket coming into Freshdesk creating a new contact. Maybe if you are in the early stages of your company, you do want that because you've got your first few users coming in and you want to actually connect all of them. So if that's the case, then great. You can just leave this as it is. But if you want to kind of get more granular, again, that works just like the Trello example I showed, and you can filter on certain information. So, it really, the sky's the limit there. So I highly recommend playing around with the filters, seeing what works best for your specific use case. There might be a word or two that come over that you just want to trigger on. Maybe there's a specific word in the description of the ticket. Maybe there's a specific email address, a specific name. I know that sounds a little weird, but there's all kinds of different ways you can filter on things. So play around with that a little bit, and that will really, really help. But once you've decided which Freshdesk tickets you want to actually trigger on, it's very, very simple then to just create that contact in Insightly. So, or in any CRM. Freshdesk does a really good job of giving you the option for both the first name and the last name. Sometimes you only see the full name of the person, but Freshdesk does this really well. So you can see here when I click on Insert Fields, I actually have the ability to get the person's last name and their first name. And then if I scroll down here a little bit, I can also get their email address. So that is automatically going to, anytime, again, a Freshdesk ticket is created that either overall, if that's the way that I want, or that maybe matches some filters I have set up, it's going to create that contact in our CRM. And you never, ever have to worry about that. So really simple, a great way, just like the project management side of things, to kind of keep all of your team on the same page, and is so helpful because we all know that our help desks are truly the heart and soul of our organizations, our companies, because that's where all the communication happens with our users, and that's really the most important thing that we can do. So if you don't use Insightly, we actually have just like everything else, we have a ton of different CRMs you can work with. Infusionsoft, Pipedrive's a cool CRM, HubSpot, Highrise, Base, Capsule, Sugar, Nimble, Intercom. We got a lot of them. So if you use a particular one, again, you can connect that to Freshdesk via Zapier and really not have to worry about keeping everyone on the same page, and just kind of going about your business and doing what you truly need to do, which is taking care of those users. So finally here, got a little big. That about does it for us. This is my contact information. The best way to get in touch with us is this contact@zapier.com. That actually goes to the entire Zapier team, and we can hop in at any point and answer any questions that you might be having, help you get started, whatever that might be. But my personal information is here too. I'm more than happy to take care of anything we need to, and I know that since Freshdesk is actually a help desk, I imagine that they have a really, really good support team. So Shankar, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you guys?
You guys can contact support@freshdesk.com or tweet to ask Freshdesk, and we'll be right there.
Do you have all of your tweets going into Freshdesk?
Sorry?
Do all of your tweets, when someone tweets to you, does that go automatically into to Freshdesk
Yeah, it
as
does.
well?
It does. Yeah. All direct messages and mentions go into our Freshdesk account,
That's
and we
perfect.
also have SL to make sure we respond to them very quickly.
Any other questions you think we need to, or things we need to address before we say goodbye here?
Yeah, Freshdesk comes with at least 60 plus integrations. I know we integrate with Zapier. We also have 60 plus integrations that you can use to connect to your CRMs, to your invoicing tools, or to your uh, bug tracking issues, bug tracking tools, etc. So if someone wants to check it out, you can go to freshdesk.com/integrations and take a look.
Yeah, so basically, if you are a Freshdesk user and there's a an integration that Freshdesk already has, you'll definitely want to use them. We like to help Freshdesk out by covering some of the tools that they don't integrate with. So that's a really sort of great way to if there's a specific tool that you're working with that Freshdesk doesn't quite integrate with, chances are that Zapier does. So that's where we kind of have a really great partnership in that way because we're able to help even further than some of those native integrations that they already have. And 60 is quite a lot. That's one of the more robust integration lists I've seen. So it's really really cool. Well, thank you, Shankar, for joining us today. This was really fun. I hope that we were able to give people just some different ways that they can move data around. If you need to come back at any time, if you want to try some of these apps out for yourself, this will be archived here on this page that you're on. If you scroll down the page even further, you can check out some of those automations. We'll hang out in the chat room, or at least I will hang out in the chat room as long as I need to answer any questions you're having. But thank you, Shankar, and everyone for joining us today. And happy to take care of anything you might need, and we'll chat soon.
Thanks, Alison.
Bye
I'll
bye.
be here to answer.
Okay.
Bye bye.